I was home alone on a Friday night because my parents had gone to a dinner party at their friend's house. They said they would be back by midnight, but I didn't mind staying by myself. I had my laptop, my phone, and my dog Rex to keep me company. I was on a FaceTime with my friends, chatting about school, movies, and video games. We were having a good time, laughing and joking around. Then suddenly the screen went black. The power went off. I looked around and saw that everything was dark. No lights, no TV, no microwave, nothing. I grabbed my phone and checked the battery. It was still at 80%. I tried to call my friends, but there was no signal. I checked the time. It was 9:30 p.m. I wanted to know how to restore the power, so I phoned my mom. She suggested that the problem might be a fuse and told me where to find the switchboard in the basement. I ended the call and headed to the basement door. To my surprise, it was locked. I wondered who locked it since my parents never did, due to the lack of the key. I called my mom back and asked her. She was puzzled and said she didn't lock it either. She asked me to hold on while she checked with my dad. He also denied locking the door. He advised me to go to the yard and use the bulkhead doors to enter the basement. He said the key was in a kitchen drawer. I agreed and thanked him. I then said goodbye to my mom, and she told me to keep her updated. I hung up and went to the kitchen to look for the key. I opened the drawer, and there it was. It was a rusty old key that looked like it belonged to a castle. I took it and headed to the back door. I opened the door and stepped outside. It was a cold and windy night. The moon was hidden behind the clouds. I could barely see anything. I walked to the yard and looked for the bulkhead doors. They were two metal doors that led to the basement from the outside. They were usually locked, but I had the key. I reached the doors and tried to insert the key. The doors were already unlocked. I hesitated for a moment. Should I go in? Or should I run back to the house and call the police? I decided to go in. Maybe it was nothing, but I didn't want to go in alone. I needed some backup. I whistled and called for Rex. He was my dog, a German Shepherd. He was big, strong, and loyal. He would protect me from anything. He came running from the house, wagging his tail. I urged Rex to follow me to the basement since I had to turn the power back on. He followed me as I opened the doors and went down the stairs. It was pitch black inside. I turned on my phone's flashlight and looked around. The basement was a mess. There were boxes, tools, clothes, and junk everywhere. I saw the switchboard on the wall, next to some boxes, as my mom said. I walked towards it, holding Rex's leash. I reached the switchboard and flipped the switch. The power came back on. I smiled and petted Rex, who barked happily. I turned around and walked to the stairs, deciding to go back to the house. But then I saw something that made me freeze in horror. There was someone leaving through the bulkhead doors, running. I waited a few moments and then ran back upstairs. I locked the bulkhead doors and ran to the house. I checked the rest of the house and saw that nothing was missing or damaged. I wondered why the intruder had left so quickly and what had scared them off. I called my mom and told her what had happened. She was shocked and said that she and Dad were coming home right away, but since she was far, she would take at least 3 hours to arrive. She told me to lock all the doors and windows and to stay with Rex. I did as she said and waited for them. I was scared and angry. I felt unsafe. I tried to calm down and watched some TV, hoping that my parents would arrive soon and that everything would be okay. I looked at the clock and saw that it was 10:30 p.m. I felt sleepy and decided to go to bed. I took Rex with me and went to my bedroom. I closed the door and got into bed. I cuddled with Rex and tried to forget the nightmare. I fell asleep rather quickly and had a peaceful dream. But suddenly, I woke up and saw that it was 1 a.m. I didn't know what had woken me up, but then I heard Rex growling at the bedroom door. I felt a jolt of fear and wondered what was wrong. I looked at the door and saw that it was slightly open. I remembered that I had closed it and felt a surge of panic. I grabbed my phone and saw that it had no battery left. I heard Rex barking and saw him jumping off the bed. Seconds later, after my eyes had adapted to the darkness, I looked up, but saw no one. However, the door was closed again. I thought that it was probably my parents that arrived, but to make sure, I went to investigate. I went without Rex, just so he could go back to sleep while I was going to talk to my parents. Opening the bedroom door, I saw that the hall lights were turned off. Weird. I could have sworn someone was here. I went to my parents' room, knocked on the door, and waited for a response. Since no one answered and I didn't want to be annoying, I went back to my bed next to Rex. At 3 a.m., I woke up again, this time to my parents in my room. I asked them why they woke me up at this time in the night, and they told me that they had only arrived now. But wait, if my parents only arrived at 3 a.m., who did I just watch 2 hours earlier, peeking through my door? They asked me what exactly happened, and I described to them the best I could. My parents then called the police. After the police arrived, they searched the area and found a homeless man sleeping on the guest's room. To this day, I am thankful that the homeless guy did not harm me, nor my dog. I was home alone on a Saturday night, watching a podcast on YouTube. It was a typical weekend for me since I didn't have many friends or hobbies. The podcast was about tech, called Your Undivided Attention. I felt bored and restless, as if something was missing from my life. I checked my phone, hoping for a message from someone, anyone. But there was nothing. No texts, no calls, no notifications. I sighed and put the phone back on the couch. The podcast ended, and I decided to go to bed. It was past midnight, and I had nothing else to do. I turned off the TV and the lights and walked to my bedroom. I got into my pajamas and crawled under the covers. I closed my eyes and tried to fall asleep, but sleep didn't come easily. I tossed and turned, feeling uneasy and anxious. I didn't know why, but I had a bad feeling in my gut. Something was wrong. I could sense it. I opened my eyes and looked at the clock. It was 12:34 a.m. I reached for my phone, thinking maybe I could distract myself with some music or a game. But as soon as I touched the screen, it lit up with a notification. It was a missed call from an unknown number. I frowned and opened the call log. There were 30 missed calls from the same number, all within the last 5 minutes. Who was calling me so urgently? And why didn't they leave a message? I was about to block the number when it rang again. I jumped and stared at the screen. The number was unfamiliar with a strange area code. I hesitated, wondering if I should answer. Maybe it was a wrong number or a prank call or a telemarketer. But what if it was something important or someone in trouble? I decided to take the risk and answer the call. I pressed the green button and put the phone to my ear. "Hello?" I said, trying to sound calm. There was no response, only silence. I waited for a few seconds, then repeated, "Hello?" Still nothing. I was about to hang up when I heard a faint sound. It was breathing, heavy and ragged. I felt a surge of fear. "Who is this?" I demanded, raising my voice. "What do you want?" No answer. I ended the call and threw the phone away from me. I was shaking and sweating. I didn't know what was going on. I got out of bed and ran to the door to lock it. I wondered if I should call the police or someone else. But who could I call? I didn't have any family or friends nearby. And what would I tell them? That someone was breathing on the phone? They would think I was crazy. I decided to wait and see if the calls would stop. Maybe it was a one-time thing, a random and sick prank. Maybe the person would get bored and leave me alone. Maybe I was overreacting and everything was fine. As I sat on the bed staring at the door, I heard a loud and sudden noise. It was banging, hard and violent. It was coming from the back door, maybe 10 minutes after the last call. From my bedroom, which was upstairs, I could see the yard, and I saw a man standing there, pounding against the door. Someone was outside trying to get in. I called the police and told them what was happening. The operator told me that the police would be there in less than 5 minutes. That's when I saw the back door opening. I hid under the bed while waiting for the police to come in. Minutes later, after hearing footsteps all over the house, the doorknob to my bedroom twisted. Within seconds, the door to my bedroom was open, even though I was sure it was locked. Don't ask me how that happened. Maybe I didn't lock the door properly in the first place. Fortunately, after investigating the bedroom, the intruder seemed to have missed me and gone to the next room. Sometime later, the police arrived, but there was no one there. The person seemed to be looking for me, since nothing was ever stolen. This happened to me a few years ago when I was living alone in a small apartment in Indianapolis, Indiana. It was a cold and rainy evening, and I had just returned home from work as a cashier at a local retail store. Feeling tired and hungry, I decided to order some pizza and watch a movie on Netflix. I locked the door behind me, turned on the lights, and settled on the couch with my laptop. Browsing through the available titles, I looked for something to distract me from the gloomy weather and the loneliness of my place. I chose a comedy, hoping to cheer myself up. I clicked play and waited for the pizza to arrive. The movie was funny, and I soon forgot about everything else. I laughed at the jokes and enjoyed the plot. I didn't notice how fast the time passed until I heard a knock on the door. I paused the movie and got up to answer the door. I checked the peephole and saw the pizza delivery guy holding a large box. I opened the door and greeted him with a smile. "Hi, I have your pizza here. That'll be $12, please," he said, handing me the box. I took the pizza and reached for my wallet. I gave him a $20 bill and told him to keep the change. "Wow, thanks. You're very generous," he said, smiling back. "No problem. Have a nice evening," I said, closing the door. I went back to the couch, the movie still paused on the screen. The pizza smelled delicious, and I couldn't wait to dig in. As I resumed watching the movie, the laughter and the comedy helped to push the eerie feeling away. Sometime later, there was a sudden knock on the door. It was unexpected, and I hesitated for a moment. I glanced at the clock. It was well past midnight. I thought to myself, who could be knocking at this hour? I paused the movie and approached the door cautiously. "Who is it?" I called out. "It's the pizza delivery guy. I forgot to give you something." What could he have forgotten to give me? I asked him through the door. "What is it?" "Just a small item. Can you open the door so I can give it to you?" The voice insisted. I hesitated, glancing through the peephole. It seemed like the same pizza delivery guy, but something felt off. Despite my suspicions, I decided to open the door just a crack to see what he had. As soon as I did, I was met with a chilling sight. The person standing there was not the pizza delivery guy. It was a random, menacing-looking man. My eyes widened as I noticed what seemed to be a knife tucked into his front pocket. "What do you want?" I asked. "Just open the door so I can give you what you forgot," he replied. I slammed the door shut, heart pounding. Panic set in as I looked through my kitchen window to my right and saw 2 other men standing outside near the garage door. I rushed to lock the door, my mind racing. The man outside started pounding on the door, screaming obscenities. My adrenaline surged as I realized the danger I was in. I backed away, heading upstairs to my bedroom and locking the door behind me. I could hear the pounding continuing downstairs. I dialed the police, my voice shaky as I explained the situation. They assured me that help was on the way. I stayed in my locked bedroom, anxiously listening. Moments later, I heard a window shatter downstairs. The police arrived swiftly, and I cautiously went downstairs to open the door for them. They searched the entire house, but found no one. Months later, I received an unexpected call from the police, informing me that the individuals involved in the frightening incident at my apartment had been apprehended for attempted burglary at a local school.